Today, we're going to dive into Genesis chapter 17. And let me tell you, this isn't just another story in the Bible. This is a foundational moment. This is where God lays out an everlasting promise, a covenant that literally changes the course of human history. So let's get into it.
To really feel the weight of what's about to happen, you have to start with this number, 99. Abram is 99 years old. His wife, Sarai, she's about to turn 90. I mean, from a human perspective, the dream is over, right? The time for starting a family, let alone becoming a great nation, is long gone. And it's right there, in that place of total impossibility, that God decides to show up.
And what an entrance! God doesn't just appear. He declares exactly who He is. I am El Shaddai, God Almighty, the all-sufficient one. Just think about that for a second. To a 99-year-old man who is completely insufficient to have a child, God says, I am all-sufficient. It's the perfect answer to the unspoken ache in Abram's heart. And right after that declaration of power, there's a command. Walk before me and be blameless. It's a call to a life of integrity, a life lived in response to who God is. All right, so this brings us to our first section, a monumental encounter, where God reveals His plan. So how do you respond when God Almighty appears before you? Well, Abram does the only thing you can do. He falls on his face. Now, this isn't about being scared. This is about being completely overwhelmed with awe, with reverence. It's that immediate, physical recognition that you are in the presence of the Creator of the universe.
Okay, moving on to our second part, the everlasting promise. This is where we get a new name and a whole new destiny.
And this is huge. God changes his name. He goes from Abram, which means exalted father, kind of a painful irony for a childless old man, to Abraham, which means father of a multitude. See what God did there? He's not defining Abraham by his current reality. He's calling him what he is about to become. He's literally speaking a new destiny into existence. And that new name is really just the beginning. God just starts unpacking these staggering promises. You're going to be the father of many nations. Kings will come from your line. This deal isn't temporary. It's an everlasting covenant for all your descendants. I'm giving you this land, Canaan, forever. But you know, that last promise, that's the one that hits the hardest. I will be their God. That's the heart of it all. It's not just about land and legacy. It's about a deep, personal relationship with the God of the universe.
So how do you seal a promise this massive? That brings us to Section 3, the sign in the flesh. This is about a mark of belonging.
Now, we got to pause here for a second because the word covenant is so important. This is not like a modern business contract you can break. A biblical covenant is a sacred, binding relationship that God Himself kicks off. It's sealed with His solemn promises, and it requires faithful obligations from His people. It's the deepest, most serious bond imaginable. And the sign for this incredible covenant? It's circumcision. God's instructions are crystal clear. Every single male on the 8th day of his life has to have this mark. And listen to this. It wasn't just for his biological kids. It was for every male in the household. This was a physical, permanent reminder in their own bodies of an eternal, spiritual promise from God.
All right, next up in Section 4, we see this isn't just Abraham's story. It's about new names and a new destiny, because this incredible promise extends to Sarah too.
I love this part. Sarai also gets a name change. Her name goes from Sarai, which means my princess, a name personal to Abraham, to just Sarah, which means princess. By dropping that little word my, God takes her from a private title to a public, global one. She's no longer just Abraham's princess. She is now a princess to the world, the mother of nations to come.
So when Abraham hears this specific promise that Sarah herself is going to have a son, he falls on his face again. But this time, he laughs. And it's so easy to read this as a laugh of doubt, but I really don't think that's it. This is the laugh of pure, mind-blown astonishment. You're telling me a 100-year-old man and a 90-year-old woman are having a baby? It's the sound of a human brain trying to process a miracle. It's just this beautiful human reaction to a promise that is absolutely impossible.
You know, God doesn't get mad at the laughter. He just clarifies His plan. He lays it all out for both of Abraham's sons. Isaac, the son who will be born to Sarah, he is the child of the promise. The everlasting covenant will be established through his line. But, and this is so important, God doesn't forget Ishmael. He promises to bless him, to make him into a great nation, the father of 12 princes. So both sons are blessed, but the covenant line, that's chosen by God, and it runs specifically through Isaac.
So, all these promises have been made, names have been changed. What happens now? Well, that brings us to our final section, a legacy of obedience. This is faith in action.
This part, honestly, it gives me chills. The Bible makes it a point to tell us that on the very same day God finished speaking, Abraham obeyed. There was no let me sleep on it, no discussion, no delay. He just took God at his word and did exactly what he was told. He circumcised himself, his son Ishmael, and every single male in his house. This is what radical, immediate obedience looks like. It's absolutely stunning.
And really, that's the bottom line here, isn't it? Abraham's story just shows us so clearly that real faith isn't just something you believe in your head. It's an active, obedient response. So the question this chapter kind of leaves hanging in the air for all of us is this: when God makes a promise to us or gives a command, what does our faith in action look like? What's our same-day response?